Hi, I'm an old guy and I do maths. And today we're going to find the equations for a set of simultaneous equations and solve those equations. Now, what I have noticed in the last year or two is that more and more of my pupils in secondary schools are being encouraged to use um, smart calculators to solve simultaneous equation problems. And some people might say, well, that's really dumbing down what's going on. But there's a sting in the tail of this. Yes, it does mean that maybe they're not learning the skills involved in elimination or substitution. But it doesn't mean that what they have to do is actually any easier, because what I see increasingly is that the equations are not being provided. They're having to work out the equations. And I can tell you that very often that is much, much harder than um, simply solving them, as you will see, I hope, because solving this problem, if you have the equations, is very straightforward. The problem is getting the equations. So let's have a look at the problem. There are two books. A book and its second volume have a total of 500 pages. I would stop there and I would do this. I'd call one book X and one book Y and say when added together they total 500 pages. That's my first equation. And that's pretty straightforward. Um, that's I think that's to encourage you to go further and sink into the problem, as they say. Okay, the second volume is 12 pages less than triple the size of volume 1. And our job is to find out how big each book is. So let's consider this. Now, I don't know which is the bigger book here. I'm not sure that it matters. We're going to solve this, and it doesn't matter whether one book's called X or one book's called Y, because it's going to be obvious to us which is which. So the second volume is 12 pages less than triple the size of volume 1. Well, how can we write this? So the second volume, so let's call the second volume Y, is equal to triple the size of volume 1. So we'll call X volume 1. So that's 3X. But it's 12 pages less than that. So there is our second equation. And it's getting to this point which is proving really difficult for people. And this is the real test now. So the focus has moved away from, shall we say, the arithmetic and moved to the translation from English into mathematics. Okay, well, what can we do about this? Well, what we need to do is we need to somehow get rid of one of these variables. So we've got an expression here with X in it. Can we get an expression in terms of X for this? Well, yes, we can, because Y is equal to 500 minus X. Can you see that? So what I've done is I've basically moved the X over here, subtracting X from both sides, and Y is equal to 500X. So I'm now going to rewrite this. And if you're using a calculator, you don't have to do this bit. The really difficult work is getting to here. And I want to emphasize that. That's really important. There's going to be an accusation that the curriculum is being dumbed down. No, it's changing. Anyway, I'm going to show you how to do this by hand anyway. I'm going to use a calculator, but I'm going to show you all the working. Okay, so Y we're going to replace with 500 minus X. 500 minus X is equal to 3X minus 12. Now we can do a little bit of rearranging here, and we're going to get 512. We'll bring the 12 over here, so we add 12 to both sides, and we're going to move the x over here so that this becomes 4x. We are adding x to both sides here. So x is going to equal 512 divided by 4. Actually, that's not too hard. 4 times 125 is 500. 4 times 3 is 12. So this is equal to 128. Okay, so our first book, X, is 128 pages long. So 128 plus Y equals 500. What I've done is I've taken this value here and substituted it into this equation here. So y is equal to 500 minus 128. And let's just do that quickly. I think that's 372. Doing it in my head, but I'll just check. 500 minus 128, 372. So x equals 128, y equals 372. There we are. Now, as I said, and as you saw, I did most of this in my head. I checked it on a really cheap calculator, and there we have it. We have the answers. But that's not the important thing here. The important thing here is actually finding the equations. That's where you get your marks. Everything else nowadays, because you can use calculators, is just a matter of entering the data. And believe me, finding these equations is no easy task. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that was useful. If it was, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.